Welcome, our fellow lovers of love, and thank you for joining us on yet another excursion through the stream of consciousness, down the river of tranquility, to fill the lake of life with love.
Then good evening. It makes me want to. I just had the feeling to want to be like a vampire this evening. Good evening, my fellow lovers of love. I don't know where it came from today. I'm in that kind of a mood, so it can be an interesting show. You never know what's going to happen. But tonight we're going to be talking about valuing yourself. How to value yourself, kind of what you're moving for, and how to spot the small signs that you've kind of starting to transform into something different. You're trying to transmute whatever, maybe a depressive episode, or when you're starting to change. And that shift, there's signs that maybe you might miss. And so we'll talk about those there in the second half of the show. But we wanted to remind everybody that it's Mental Health Awareness Month. So if you feel like you may be dealing with a mental health issue, or maybe you know somebody who's dealing with a mental health issue, you can please feel free. It's mentalhealthhotline.org. It's 1-866-903-3787. And we always like to say they'd rather talk to you early rather than late, right? They'd prefer to talk to you early rather than too late. Too early or not a crisis is better than when you're facing a severe crisis. So, just like any other preventative, just like any other medicine, right? The earlier you go in, the easier the treatment usually is.
Yes.
And so the sooner you can, the sooner you can recognize that you might do, if you're asking yourself, should I possibly talk to somebody? You probably should. If you're asking yourself the question, it's probably a sign that maybe you should. It's, start low. Again, it doesn't have to necessarily be a psychiatrist or a psychologist. You can talk to your pastor, your best friend. Start small. Pick up a phone. You can go to the website. They have chat. You can do it through an app now. So you don't even have to, go lay on the proverbial couch. And we just think it's important that, both of us have been through our mental health experiences. And,
yes.
And there's times when you need help. And there's nothing, just like getting a broken leg fixed, you go to a professional. It's...
In today's complicated world, it's unrealistic to think that every now and then we don't need to go to someone just to sort things out.
Yeah, some people go to counselors, some people go to coaches, some people see their pastor. It doesn't matter what method you use, right? Spiritual advisor, whatever it is, somebody to help connect you, to ground you, help you guide you through life. It's not necessarily that you have to take with their advice. It's that you get somebody to bounce things off of in a non-judgmental way. The things that you are afraid to speak about with other people. You can actually have someone to voice those things. It really is. It's a very useful thing. And so please, if you have the opportunity, if you feel the need, take advantage of it. All right. And we want to let you know you can always reach out to me and Lovey at love@latenightLove.us. We always like to hear about your stories or your comments or your questions. And, if your question's appropriate, we will answer it on air. We will like to do that as well. All right, so let's hop on in. It is difficult, right, in these modern worlds, to figure out how to value yourself and the world around you. Because, let's face it, our world is kind of designed by and for type A personalities.
Yes, the article we noted, they call it the grind culture.
Yeah, no, I have a problem with how they frame the article. I mean, they've got half of it correct. And now they get into, when they start talking about privilege and stuff, it's essentially talking about other people's privilege, essentially gives you a get-out-of-jail card free for being a victim. It's like patting yourself on the back for being a victim. So it's like relinquishing what little control of your life you actually have and saying, well, it's okay, I don't have any control because, well, I'm a victim. Other people have privileges that I don't have. Well, everybody has privileges and troubles and whatnot that other people don't have. So it's never judge somebody else's life by what you can see. That's all my point is. Everybody's a victim. No one gets out of the world unscathed. No one has their untroubles. So I
My
don't.
mother used to say, there's something here for everybody.
Yeah. So I don't like the fact that they talk about, you know, they frame it in a way of privilege. But there is a point that we have this culture that is, you know, someone like Elon Musk is a good example of it, right? He cannot rest. It's not within his nature to rest. He would be as miserable in my life as I would be in his. You know, it just wouldn't work. He couldn't live the way I live. He wouldn't want to, right? He would die a death. It wouldn't be doing enough. And I couldn't schedule my life in 5-minute increments. I would die a creative death, right? It's just the wrong type of environment for me. But we've got this. Our culture does have this notion where you should be, and everybody should theoretically be, a type A personality. And we kind of teach this to people right from our education system all the way to our rewards for work. And you know, we reward with money and the scorecard type rewards rather than the emotional type rewards that most people actually prefer. You know, they prefer a comforting environment. They would take a little less money to have some place where they like to go to every day rather than make a lot of money and go to some place they hate. You know, it's just it's also part of human nature. But for some reason, and you can actually understand it, for most of human history, everything is written by the type A personalities. The only people who could get books published, newspapers published, articles published were type A personalities. No one else could get their voice heard easily. Only people who could really, really work long, hard hours could have their voices heard. But that no longer exists now. Now anybody can get their voice heard. A couple $100 and an internet connection, and you can have your voice heard now. You can have your perspective heard. And so we now get to see that, hey, this type A personality lifestyle isn't actually for everybody. It chews people up and spits them out. And if you don't believe me, just look on the streets of any major U.S. city. You know, it accomplishes wonderful things. It accomplishes the internet, space travel, all kinds of great things, you know, wonderful advances in medicine and technology. But it also chews humans up and spits them out. And, you know, how do we, not just as a culture, but ourselves, how do we manage that? How do we get through that? And framing ourselves as victims from it is not proper, because it frames the people who have privilege, what they call privilege, as something they're not. They're not evildoers out there seeking to destroy the world. They're just out wanting to be who they are like the rest of us. It's just how it happens that if we create a culture that's geared towards them, it's harmful to the rest of us. So the trick is to how do we live our lives that is beneficial to us as individual human beings, which ultimately is what benefits society. That's the trick. And it's not a straight and linear path. There is no simple solution, which is another problem. You know, we want easy, quick fixes. If we just do this one thing, there is no one thing. But we do know where it starts. It starts in here. It starts by changing ourselves, by changing how we are, what we individually value. And if we all change what we individually value, the culture will have to reflect that. It will have no choice. Because the culture is a reflection of us. And that's just truth. So we all individually can change it. The question is how? Right?
Yes.
And is there some flaw in my philosophy there?
Not that I can see.
If you all see a flaw in my philosophy, make sure to send us a letter at love@latenightLove.us or contact us on social media. We'd love to hear from you. And you can always comment and like, subscribe, and do all that good stuff. We like that as well. But it brings us to another point. You know, it's, you know, where do you start? You know, we are all these damaged human beings. We like to talk about it. we just talked about it, how no one gets through this life unscathed. No one comes through life without scars at the other end. No one survives life. And so how do you get past all those traumas of life, all the various traumas, grief, happiness, sadness? Where do you start? We talk about starting in here, and, we all talk about one of the ways you do that is you talk about with gratitude, right? You start being thankful for what you have, no matter what small things it is. But how can you do that if you're overcome with grief or trauma? Yeah.
You have to take the time to process your grief.
Yeah, but the part of it is you actually have to do it.
Yes.
You can't just say, well, I'm just going to wait for it to be done. No, it's actual work. Mental work is some of the hardest work you're ever going to do. And so the second article we this person had talked about how they had to embrace their grief. They had to become one with it. And we talk about it a lot, becoming a friends. You have to become friends with that part of you dislike. Like I had to become friends with my anxiety. You have to actually, I think Jordan Peterson said, is if you don't mind the dragon, it becomes this big, huge thing.
I have to mind my doom brain.
Yeah, you have to actively mind it. It's like tending to a garden. You have to garden it. You have to tend the weeds, otherwise they get out of control, and you have to actively mind it. And, that means you have to allow yourself to feel it. You can't move past it unless you allow yourself to feel it. And so many of us are so afraid, and it's completely understandable. We don't want to go through it again. Why would you? But you have to go through it again in order to process it and put it away. You have to process the emotions. Otherwise, you never process the emotions.
You can't move past it.
You literally can't, because you're stuck it. You've literally stuck on it. You refuse to. And you can put it away. You can put it somewhere, but it's just going to grow. It's just going to sit there and fester until you deal with it. And at some point, the human mind is a marvelous, wonderful thing. At some point, when it feels safe enough, it will force you to deal with it. When all the rest of your stresses in life kind of go away and you're at a kind of a comfortable spot in life, your mind will say, hey, guess what? Life's pretty good right now. You know that thing that you never dealt with? Yeah, guess what? You're dealing with that now. But I don't want to. Don't care.
It's time.
Yeah, it's time. And you'd rather have it that way, because the other time is when you're at your lowest and the world is coming crashing down on you and you have no defenses left and it's just sitting there. And you have to deal with it as well, because all your defenses against it have been crushed. So you're going to have to deal with it at some time. So it's much better to deal with it in a managed way, where you take control of the.
Rather than letting it wait and come out sideways.
Because it's going to come out one way or the other, and neither one of those is actually a good thing, right? Because your life comes crashing down on you one way or the other. Either at the worst possible time or when life is pretty good. Next thing you know, you've got an emotional collapse, and you don't really understand why. But it was time. It's going to come out, and neither one of those is good. So if you can deal with that, when times are relatively well, and say, you know what, I can put this on my plate so I don't have it later. I'm tired of this holding me back. I'm tired of carrying this luggage around. I'm tired of dragging this anchor around with me. There comes a point where you just have to. Or you can never become the human being you want. You become a shell of a human being, a shell of yourself. That's not good for anybody. It's not good for you. It's not good for your family. Not good for those who care about you. It's not good for those you care about. And it's not good for our society. Our society isn't good to have a bunch of broken people walking around. But we're all going to be damaged, but we don't have to be broken. right? We're all damaged. Human beings are damaged. Things in life break. Screws fall out. You know, the proverbial thing. Screws fall out. What was that from the Breakfast Club when they undid the screw and the door closed? You know, screws fall out all the time. You know, the world's an imperfect place. Oh, the world's an imperfect place. Screws fall out all the time. Sometimes they fall out accidentally on purpose, right? But how do you prepare yourself for that? You just have to prepare yourself for that. You just have to, you know, deal with these things when you have the strength. And, you know, try anything on that one? Just anything I know you liked?
Well, you don't have to do it alone.
No. And as we said, you've got the mentalhealthhotline.org. If you are struggling, it's 1-866-903-3787. Which brings us to Lovey's favorite part of the night. She loves lists.
Yay!
She loves lists, and you guys like lists because then you get to hear her talk finally. Because you know that's the one thing we do. You always just talking. She never says anything. She just sits over there. Yeah, okay, we'll get her a list so we can get her to talk. That is the one comment. You know, I keep those from you. But that we actually do here is that they want to hear more from you, but you know they don't come here to listen to me drone on and philosophize for half an hour.
That's what I'm here for. I love listening to your way you think. It's so unique.
Yeah, but you have such rose-colored glasses. The rest of these people want to hear what you have to say as well.
I love you.
They want to hear what you have to say as well. But that brings us to Lovey's List. So we should actually call this segment Lovey's List. It's probably a good name for it. All right. So
we talk about depression and the signs, but we don't talk about, and that's why I love this article, they talk about the signs that you are coming out of depression. So this is an upbeat.
It's an upbeat, and these are the things that are actually quite easy to miss.
Yes.
As the depression is kind of looming and droning over you.
We look for some huge break in our recovery, and that's not how recovery works.
You want the one day the sky to open, the birds to be chirping. Life is good, and doesn't really work like that.
It doesn't work like that.
You know, yeah, I know it sucks. Life is such a pain in the ass. So they got her a list, 26 things. Okay, what do we got, Lovey?
When I wake up and get ready for the day, I shower, cook, clean up the house, and just face the day like a normal person. I love my normal days.
Yeah, when the day just kind of feels like a normal day, and you don't really notice it one way or the other. It's
yeah.
Yeah, I call that nirvana, man.
It's routine.
Well, I don't necessarily like the routine. I just think days that you don't have to think. When we're like about stuff, auxiliary stuff. Days where my anxiety isn't pinging. They're just days, and they're quiet, mentally quiet days, and I like those. Yeah. So.
I like routine. It gives me great comfort. It makes me feel content.
Yeah.
No surprises, no drama, just a normal day. Yeah. Okay, number 2. When I start cooking my own food again instead of wasting money on fast food.
No, yeah.
Start showering and brushing my teeth on a normal basis. That's a big one. And that's one to look for.
Yeah, when you start, your routine doesn't become a chore, I suppose, is when it starts feeling normal instead
when
of a chore.
brushing your teeth isn't a big deal.
Yeah, there you go. Laughing, there's another one. Number 3 is laughing.
Laughing, really laughing.
Yeah, get a general good old-fashioned belly laugh. Yeah.
My honey makes me laugh every day. When I can start reading again, my concentration and focus improves. That's a real quality of life issue.
Yeah, when you can start to focus on things?
Yes.
Yeah, That's also a good sign. It means your head isn't so busy doing other things. It's not so busy working on stuff, whatever. Yeah, it's not so busy running imaginary scenarios in its head. It can actually just focus on what it's doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, this number 5, little things, usually happens without me noticing when I care about what I put on in the morning. Wanting to cook dinner. That's a big one for me. I hate to cook dinner. Remembering and wanting to watch my favorite TV shows. Actually laughing instead of saying that's funny.
And back to the laughing thing. I guess starting to kind of enjoy things again is kind of a recurring theme, right?
This one's sad. When I no longer go to bed praying that I don't wake up instead of going to bed smiling because I feel worthy of life and happiness.
Yeah, maybe she's got some bipolar issues too, not just depression and bipolar, huh? Bouncing over the places like that.
Yeah.
Okay. My eyes get life back to him. Yeah, I get the eyes thing. Things you love. Yeah, I get it.
Start doing things I love, no matter how skilled or unskilled I am.
Mm-hmm.
I am not unskilled at watercolor. I'm not unskilled. I am not skilled at watercolor painting, but I love to do sunsets. I like playing with the colors. And it just brings me my own satisfaction.
Yeah. Noticing beauty around you, whether it's sunrise, clouds, flowers.
Flowers.
The bird.
First cup of coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
Mindfully smoking my joint.
Either of these will just, find things, again, are funny. A lot of these are just repetitive. More present. That's another one. When you're feeling more present, we're number 11. It's when they're starting to feel more present. It's because, again, when your brain isn't so busy working about, imaginary scenarios or doom brain or whatever it is your personal, your brain distraction is. It's you become more present during the day. You're there precisely because your brain is more, less of your brain is thinking about dealing with depression.
You're not
anxiety.
distracted.
Yeah, there's literally more brain power to be focused on whatever you're focused on. It's just like anything else. You quite literally have more power to your brain is quite literally more focused on what you're focused on.
Okay, when I'm able to look past the present, when I'm able to make future plans and be further to be excited about them. Now that's a big one for me. I noticed I started feeling more joy around my grandchildren.
Yeah.
It had dampened, and that made me very, very upset and very, very sad.
Well, and some of us, like I just realized I took a personality quiz thing, and I have this thing that it's hard to describe because the way psychologists describe these things, it doesn't really translate well. It's low enthusiasm. I mean, it doesn't mean you don't like things. It just means you don't get overly enthused about things. Like everybody else sits there and will get all excited about something. Okay, that's fine. You like to do it. It's all, but you just don't get the big rush. Yeah. You're not the kind of thing. You just kind of, okay. It's not that you don't like it. It's just you lack that extra oomph of enthusiasm in things. And so some people can see other people get all this enthusiastic about things they're doing, and if they're low in enthusiasm, they say, hey, what the hell's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with you. You're just not naturally excited about things. But on the benefit side of that, there is a benefit of that. You don't get excited about things. You can see things more calmly. A little more rational. While everybody else is getting overly excited and gets caught up in what's going on around you, You're not caught up in it because you don't have that same excitement level. And so you're able to be more present, in a sense. So, not everything is a gray lining. Some of these things have silver linings. Okay.
This is a big one for me. When I feel like I could support those around me, when it's that means a lot to me. When I feel bad sometimes when I'm in it and I just don't have anything to give. I feel like it's unbalanced. I don't like it. It's a motivation for me because I have a hard time accepting sometimes.
Yeah, well, one of the things we become good at is, after now 11 years, is, hey, that unbalance, sure, imbalances happen, but the imbalances happen in both directions over the course of time, so it's fine.
Well, we were mature enough to realize that when we first came to the table like that.
Yeah, kind of experience things get out of balance every now and again, and it's fine because they get out of balance. As long as they get out of balance both ways, as life does, then it's fine because that's just how life works. You're in a long-term relationship. Somebody's going to have bad months or bad weeks, bad days. But sometimes days, when you're dealing with, depression or bipolar or anxiety, sometimes it takes months. And sometimes people have health issues and you can have a bad year, or more. And
they take themselves to the edge of death.
What? Miss, I still haven't gone to the doctor. I don't want to hear about it. So, all right. So, yeah, but my point is that, it's once you understand these things, they become less of an issue. But still, the self-motivation to, I don't want that balance to get so far out of balance that maybe...
Yeah, yeah. I keep an eye on it.
It's because you want to mind that's part of minding your relationships is, hey, yeah, okay, things get out of balance and it's fine, but you have to make sure they don't stay out of balance, right? That's part of your responsibility. You don't feel the pressure to have to fix it if you can't. But the minute you can, you feel the pressure to, okay, the minute I can start to address the imbalance, I damn well better because this person has been supportive and kind to me during this period of time. And
Well, I make it a point to every day make the effort. I think there's to me, I give a commitment, no matter what is going on in my life, to give my best effort to you.
Yeah, the nobility is in the effort, not actually in the accomplishment, is it?
Some days I can give more than others,
yeah,
but I give my best every day.
And I think that's what people actually honor. It's not whether you can actually accomplish addressing the balance, it's that you try to address the balance. And that's what addresses the imbalance, right? It's not whether the imbalance gets addressed, because we don't freaking keep score. How the hell do we know?
I don't know.
I don't actually know.
Where are we? I didn't know we were supposed to be keeping score.
That's the point, right? But the very fact that we honor that, the fact that we honor it, that we try to, that's the nobility in it, is that we try, and that's what keeps the relationships balanced, even if they're not technically balanced, whatever the hell that means. Anyway. How do you score that? That's just goofy. If you're scoring your relationship, you should probably rethink how you're managing your relationship, for one. But because if things get way out of balance and the other person isn't trying, and that's the problem when the other person isn't trying. It's not that they're not having an issue. Okay, issues happen, but it's not trying to work through it. Hey, you can try to not work through things and not be successful at it for a long time.
Well, I do have some issues sometimes. It takes me a little while to come to terms with it. but you give me that grace period, and I try to do the same thing with you. I mean, some things take time.
Yeah, I'm a royal pain in the ass. So yeah, of course I give as much leeway as I feel I need, because hello, look at this imperfect piece of meat. So days to accomplish something, right? Anything,
making the bed. Sometimes just getting up and getting dressed, that is an improvement over the day before.
Yeah, I put regular clothes on today. You know what I have to say? If that's all you can manage that day, then it's an improvement. Again, you're trying. Wanting to take care of yourself.
Wanting to take care of yourself.
Yeah, not forcing yourself to. You actually want to. I'm tired of smelling. I got to go hit in the shower. Is that difference than, there's a difference, actually.
You want to spruce up a little bit.
Yeah, it's not even necessarily you want to spruce up. You just want to do basic maintenance, basic routine things. You want to, instead of feeling like you need to, so you don't smell. That kind of thing. Actually try to make plans for a few friends. I actually found that sad. When I actually try to make plans with a few friends I have left. That's actually kind of sad. But I get their point. When they want to make plans, they feel like they want to. Feel lighter.
I feel lighter. I feel like something's been lifted off my shoulders. For me, it feels like when I'm deeply depressed, I feel like I have a hole in my chest, and it just aches. And that's when I know I'm doing better, when it doesn't ache.
Yeah, another one. Start singing or humming. That's another one.
My sense of taste and smell improves. I can have lights on in the evening. Yeah, I like the dark. I'm the dark creature of the dark.
Well, some of us are night owls, but but I get their point. Is if you like having the light, and but you're kind of depressed, you don't like the light, and so actually wanting to, I feel like opening the house up. It's a sign that you're not so depressed anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Open the house, get some fresh air.
Yeah, it's a sign. When you eat a meal willingly, it's when you eat a meal because you want to eat, not because you're freaking starving yourself. I gotta eat something. I've been there. Now, I've been there for different reasons because I just don't like food, and so you get to the point where, oh yeah, I should eat. Leaving the house because you want to. Singing.
Because you want to, yeah. Want to get out, meet people. Like my mother used to say, get out and blow the dust off you.
Yeah.
Singing in the car.
And back
to singing. Waking up, don't feel like I want to cry anymore. Oh God, that's a big one. I used to cry all the time.
Yeah.
When I no longer get angry at everything and everyone.
Those high emotional reactions, whether it's anger or
whatever. Irritation. I still have days I get so irritable I irritate myself. God, I hate those days.
I'm so irritable I'm irritating myself. Yeah, all right, there you go. You've hit peak irritability there. You peaked. I'm so irritable, I'm an asshole. That's you. Okay, so anyway, I don't have to force myself to smile. Oh. I never think about smiling, to be honest. I don't know if I smile or not, how often I do or not. I don't ever think about it. Which is weird, considering how often I'm on camera and TV. I just don't think about it. Colors get a little more vivid. The world looks a little less hopeless. Well, yeah, because your brain's interpreting your mood. Your mood interprets what you see, because what you see isn't actually what you see. It's what your brain interprets what you see. And if your brain is feeling all cloudy and whatnot, the world's going to be a little darker. Makes some sense. Especially if you're a more artistic type. And more artistic types tend to depression than less artistic types. It's hardly a universal call, but it's a tend to. But it's do you have any signs that you missed in there that you've got about, on your ways out of depression, anything that they didn't cover in there? I mean, the whole list is essentially is when you start enjoying either routine or your joy. You finding
You
joy.
you start feeling joy again. That's when I know. In when I want to do things, when when doing something is not a big deal. Doing normal things, brushing teeth, getting dressed in the morning.
Going to the grocery store, and things you want to do become things you want to do, not things you're doing because you should want to do them.
Yes.
Yeah. So but one of the things is you have to notice these things, is you have to be in tune with yourself. You have to honor yourself, and whether it's, what we've covered tonight is we've talked about finding who you value, the type of person you are, and honoring that, whether it's a type A personality or you're more of a laid back, person, figuring out how to make your lifestyle work for you rather than you work for the lifestyle. Making that choice, making an active choice in how you design your life, and figuring out how you practice gratitude, become encircling of yourself so you can notice when you're starting to become the person you want to be. When you're starting to come out of your depression. Yeah.
And honoring those successes, not poo-pooing them. Oh, it's just making my bed. It's a big freaking deal.
Yeah, it's just making you. That actually is a sign that is your depression and telling you that no, you're not. It's not good. That's your actual depression talking. Well, it's just making your bread. Yeah, you're my bed, but you didn't do it yesterday. So, is making your bed better than not making your bed? Yes. Well, then guess what, sunshine, you're better. Think of it that way. If it's brushing your teeth, is brushing your teeth once a day better than brushing your teeth no times a day? Yes. Congratulations, you're a success.
Day at a time.
Yeah, don't try to make one of the keys about getting out of depression or working through anxiety or whatever it is understanding it's not about jumping to the end goal, because the end goal isn't where you think it is anyway.
True.
It's about.
I always end up in a place I had no idea that I would be there.
So it's not that.
And it always turns out better than I imagined.
Yeah, so it's one of those things is, can you get better tomorrow or next week than you were today or last week? And if you can do that, then you're on the right path, because that's ultimately what it's about. It's the journey. It's the path you take, and the path isn't written. Despite what your brain is telling you, despite what you're feeling, your path isn't written. You have the ability to change that path. And we're going to remind you on Mental Health Awareness, if you're feeling the need to change that path, you can reach out to people. Your pastor, your coach, your psychologist, us, mentalhealthhotline.org, 1-866-903-38787. And there are people who are here to help you, who want to listen. Me and Lubby are here. There are lots of us in the space who do this kind of thing. There's, like we said, there's pastors, coaches, counselors, psychiatrists, your doctor if you need to. Whatever you can, reach out. In the modern world, there's an app for that. So there's less and less excuses, except for the ones your brain comes up with. Sometimes you need to listen to other people. So if you're questioning, should I talk to somebody? Talk to somebody about talking to somebody. It's just a conversation. You cannot be any worse off than you are now. And if you're suffering, isn't that part of what you want? And from me and Lubby, we want to thank you. Please, if you liked what you heard, if you want to hear more of it, please like, subscribe, share. We would greatly appreciate it. You can send me and Lubby a love letter. I keep calling them love letters. A dear Lubby letter at love@latelove.us. Not that kind of letter. I mean, I suppose you could. You don't mind. But anyway,
Well, I wouldn't read it on the air.
Well, it could be funny, I suppose. If someone wrote a funny one as a satire, we might read it on the air. But, that kind of thing. But
That's true.
I don't mean, I keep saying love letters, but it means dear Lubby letters, but I don't know why they come out as love letters. I don't know. My brain is stuck on that. Anyway, enough of me rambling. Thank you all for joining us. We want to thank you. We want to thank Lubby for being here tonight. Thanks for the mighty for putting for having these discussions, for having some place where people can have these discussions. It's important that these discussions are had. Thank you for joining us. Good night, and please remember to love everybody.
Good night.
I hit the wrong button. Again, what is it with me and hitting these buttons? Good night.